This is Alcatraz, the most isolated and inescapable maximum security prison in the United States. Located approximately offshore from the Bay Area of San Francisco, it's surrounded by the treacherous waters of the Pacific Ocean, which play a crucial role in the prison's reputation for being inescapable. They are extremely cold, with temperatures hovering around 50-55 degrees Fahrenheit, 10-13 degrees Celsius, creating a significant hypothermia risk for anyone attempting to swim to freedom. The moving waters in the bay enhance the island's natural defense. These currents can be extremely powerful, capable of sweeping even the strongest swimmers. Additionally, the bay is known for its dense fog, which can reduce visibility to nearly zero, disorienting anyone trying to navigate. The island itself is rugged and rocky, with steep cliffs on many sides, making any potential escape attempt even more daunting. The prison buildings were constructed to be as secure as possible, with barred windows, solid steel doors, and many guard towers to ensure constant surveillance, even though it seemed impossible to escape from. Alcatraz's isolation also contributed to the stark and desolate atmosphere that surrounded its inmates. The proximity to San Francisco meant that prisoners could sometimes hear the sounds of freedom, city noises, laughter, or even music on a quiet night, which was said to be a psychological torment for those incarcerated on the island. Alcatraz's unique combination of natural and man-made defenses earned it a reputation as one of the most intimidating prisons ever constructed. However, there were signs that Alcatraz's reputation as an impenetrable prison might soon be put to the test. In the rural farmlands of Georgia, two brothers, John and Clarence Anglin, were born into a large family, struggling to make ends meet. Their journey into crime began with small thefts, a necessity turned habit. As their skills sharpened, so did their ambitions, evolving into bank robberies. Their talents for escaping from local prisons became notable, weaving through incarcerations in prisons like Atlanta Penitentiary and Leavenworth. John, the younger brother, was quieter but equally determined, and Clarence, with his bold demeanor, eventually caught the attention of federal authorities. Their repeated escapes landed them in Alcatraz, the final stop. John was serving a 15-year sentence, while Clarence was serving 10 years, both for their roles in bank robberies. In the isolated confines of Alcatraz, the brothers' thoughts revolved around one burning desire: freedom. Frank Morris's story is a tale of wasted brilliance. As an orphan wandering through foster homes and reform schools, Morris's intelligence was evident from a young age. Reports suggested his IQ of 133 was in the top 2% of the population, a statistic that contrasted sharply with his life choices. His criminal exploits were marked by ingenuity, but it was his propensity for escaping from prisons that became his hallmark. After a dramatic escape from the Louisiana State Penitentiary, Morris was deemed a high-security risk, leading to his transfer to Alcatraz. He was sentenced to 14 years in prison for his involvement in bank robberies. In Alcatraz, Morris's intellect found a new challenge, devising an escape from the inescapable. Alan West's path to Alcatraz was less heralded but equally fraught with defiance. Known for car thefts and numerous escape attempts, West's refusal to adhere to the norms of prison life saw him shunted from one institution to another. His journey included time at the Atlanta Penitentiary, where his disruptive behavior caught the attention of the authorities. West's keen observation skills uncovered structural flaws in Alcatraz, a discovery that would become a cornerstone of the escape plan. Although often overshadowed by his more notorious co-conspirators, West's contribution to their plan was indispensable. In the unwelcoming atmosphere of Alcatraz, amidst the relentless waves and disturbed winds, these four men, each with their own unique story, found common ground. They shared past experiences and exchanged knowledge, and gradually, a daring plot began to emerge. A plot not just of physical liberation, but one symbolizing a rebellion against the fate handed to them. As the ocean waves crashed continuously against Alcatraz's shores, The echo of freedom resonated within their cells. In their hearts, a never-ending desire for freedom grew, challenging the indomitable fortress of Alcatraz. Frank Morris, an astute observer, noticed the lax security around the utility corridors and identified the back of the cell's ventilation grills as a potential escape route. The Anglin brothers, John and Clarence, had a history of farm labor, which had endowed them with physical strength and endurance, essential qualities for the arduous task ahead. Their agricultural background also meant they were resourceful and accustomed to improvising with limited materials, a skill they had honed through years of living in poverty. Alan West, meanwhile, brought an intimate knowledge of Alcatraz's layout and routines, having spent considerable time in the prison prior to the arrival of Morris and the Anglins. Their plan revolved around several meticulously planned stages, each demanding extreme precision and covert execution. The group used a variety of makeshift tools to gradually widen the grills. These tools weren't just rudimentary, they were marvels of prison ingenuity. Spoons, for instance, were not merely stolen. They were carefully selected for their strength and size. The edges were painstakingly sharpened against concrete floors to turn them into effective digging tools. Discarded saw blades, often smuggled in during workshop sessions, were concealed within the confines of their cells, hidden in places the guards wouldn't think to search. The homemade drill, crafted from the motor of a vacuum cleaner, was a feat of engineering under the circumstances, demonstrating Morris's profound understanding of mechanics. The creation of the dummy heads was a task that combined artistry with deception. The inmates used a mixture of soap and toilet paper as the base, giving the heads a skin-like texture. The concrete dust provided rigidity, while the stolen hair from the barbershop added a touch of realism. These heads were painted with materials sourced from various art and maintenance supplies within the prison, creating a lifelike appearance that could withstand a cursory nighttime inspection by the guards. The construction of the raft and life vests was an exercise in patience and precision. Each raincoat, over 50 in total, had to be acquired without raising suspicion, a task that with threads unraveled from other garments, and the seams were meticulously sealed using the steam pipes. This process was not only laborious, but also risky, as the heat could easily damage the material if not carefully monitored. The route to freedom was fraught with physical and logistical challenges. The climb up the plumbing fixtures to the roof was not just a physical climb. It was a climb done in almost complete darkness, guided only by touch and memory. The descent down the building and the breach of the barbed wire fences required careful timing, coinciding with the guards' shift changes and blind spots in the patrol routines. The launch into San Francisco Bay was the culmination of their efforts. The bay's currents and temperatures were unpredictable, and the inmates had to choose their launch time carefully, factoring in the tides and fog. The inflation of the raft was a critical moment. It had to be done swiftly and efficiently to avoid losing precious time or making noise that could attract attention. West's inability to join the escape due to his immovable vent grill was a significant deviation from the plan. This was not just a physical setback, but also a psychological blow to the group, as West had been an integral part of the planning process. As night fell on Alcatraz, the inmates made their final preparations. They placed their carefully crafted dummy heads in their beds, positioning them to appear as if they were sleeping. These dummies, made with a mix of soap, toilet paper, and real hair, were critical to deceiving the guards during their routine nighttime checks. Meanwhile, Morris and the Anglin brothers quietly slipped out of their cells through the widened ventilation grills they had been chiseling away at for months. Their first obstacle was the climb to the prison roof. This ascent, approximately 30 feet up the unguarded utility corridor, was fraught with peril. The plumbing fixtures, which they used as makeshift ladders, were old and rusted, posing a significant risk. The men moved with extreme caution, aware that any noise could betray their presence. Once they reached the roof, they had to navigate across it in near total darkness, guided only by the faint moonlight and their intimate knowledge of the prison's layout. After traversing the roof, the inmates faced the daunting task of descending 50 feet down the exterior of the building. This involved scaling down a kitchen vent pipe, a treacherous endeavor in the dim light. Upon reaching the ground, they still had to overcome one more physical barrier: the twin 12-foot barbed wire fences surrounding the prison. Using tools and blankets to protect themselves from the sharp barbs, they managed to breach these fences without sustaining serious injuries. Once past the fences, the group reached the northeastern shoreline of the island. Here, under the cover of darkness and the dense fog that enveloped the island, they began the critical task of inflating their makeshift raft and life vests. The raft, crafted from over 50 raincoats, was their lifeline across the waters of San Francisco Bay. The inflation process was painstaking and had to be done carefully to prevent the raft from tearing or being underinflated. With the raft finally inflated, they launched into the cold, swirling waters of the bay, facing strong currents and the risk of hypothermia. Their destination was the mainland, but the exact landing point was uncertain and heavily dependent on the bay's unpredictable currents and their own physical strength. As they paddled away from Alcatraz, the dense fog swallowed up any trace of their escape. The only evidence of their departure was the life vests and paddles, remnants of their remarkable journey. The fate of the escapees remains one of the most enduring mysteries in criminal history. Did they succumb to the waters, or did they manage to outwit Alcatraz, the prison deemed escape-proof? In the immediate wake of the escape, the authorities launched an extensive manhunt, one of the most massive in U.S. history. The waters around Alcatraz, known for their treacherous currents, were combed by boats and helicopters, while land searches spanned the Bay Area and beyond. Despite the rigor and extent of these searches, they yielded frustratingly few tangible results. This absence of concrete evidence gave rise to a multitude of theories and speculations regarding the fate of the escapees. Over the years, numerous sightings of individuals resembling Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers were reported across the United States and even internationally. Each sighting brought a renewed flurry of activity and hope, but invariably, they led to dead ends, leaving investigators grappling with more questions than answers. Forensic teams analyzed the items recovered from Angel Island and the surrounding areas. The paddle and remnants of the raft suggested a degree of success in the initial stages of the escape. The condition and location of these items were scrutinized to reconstruct potential routes the escapees might have taken and to estimate the likelihood of their survival. However, the relentless tides and currents of San Francisco Bay complicated these analyses, leaving a trail that was as murky as the waters themselves. Years later, a startling development emerged, adding a dramatic twist to the ongoing saga. Letters, allegedly penned by the Anglin brothers, surfaced, claiming that they, along with Morris, had survived the escape. One such letter, addressed to the FBI, was particularly compelling. It read,
"My name is John Anglin. In June 1962, I escaped from Alcatraz with my brother Clarence and Frank Morris. I'm 83 years old and I'm in bad shape. I've got cancer. Yes, we all accomplished our goals that night, but it was a close call. Frank died in October 2008. His tomb is under another name in Argentina. My brother passed away in 2011. This is the honest and real truth. I could tell you that for 7 years I have been living in Minot, North Dakota, and a year in Fargo. If you announce on TV and promise that I will not go to jail for no more than a year and get medical care, I will write back to let you know precisely where I am. This isn't a joke."
The authenticity of this letter, and others like it, has been the subject of intense debate and analysis. Handwriting experts and forensic linguists have pored over these letters, seeking to verify their origins. The possibility that the Anglin brothers might have not only survived, but also managed to elude capture for decades, is a narrative as tantalizing as it is improbable. The Alcatraz escape and its aftermath continue to be shrouded in mystery and speculation. The absence of definitive proof of the escaper's fate allows the story to evolve and grow, fueled by each new piece of evidence and every whispered rumor. The escape from Alcatraz remains a captivating chapter in criminal history.